Vandro's prime gleamed like a manufactured star, wrapped in metallic rings humming with bureaucratic power. Inside the Galactic Council Hall, thousands of diplomats occupied tiered balconies, their bioluminescent robes shimmering in the filtered violet light. Massive holoscreens displayed the Council's crest, an orb encircled by chains, projected above the central dais. High Arbitrator Zoreth Velrun rose with ceremonial stiffness. His elongated limbs, plated in copper-colored armor, moved with the practiced grace of a ruler used to compliance. "Let the record show," he announced, his voice echoing through translation fields, "that humanity has refused all previous requests for stability tribute. Their expansion continues without oversight. Their industries rise without contribution. Their fleets multiply with alarming acceleration." A low murmur rippled through the chamber. Several species nodded in programmed agreement. Others remained motionless, cautious yet curious about the young Terran bloc challenging an ancient order. The human ambassador stood alone at the center of the amphitheater. Ambassador Mara Thane kept her shoulders square, her charcoal suit plain among radiant alien fabrics. She raised her chin, meeting Zoratha's stare with steady calm. "Humanity is not obligated to pay tribute," she stated. "We have signed no such treaty, nor have we violated any council law." Zoratha's mandibles flexed. "Your rapid rise destabilizes the region. Tribute ensures balance. Cooperation protects all species." "Cooperation," Mara replied, "requires consent, not coercion." Gasps and clicking protests rose on all sides. Zorath lifted a hand, silencing them. "We will present a final offer," he said. "Annual deliveries of raw ore, medical-grade organics, and personnel units for off-world labor assignments. Failure to comply will result in corrective action. You're demanding resources, DNA, and our people," Mara said. "That is not balance. That is subjugation." Zorath leaned forward. "Then choose carefully, Ambassador. Defiance carries consequences." Mara did not blink. "So does tyranny." The chamber erupted with chaotic lights and voices as security escorts closed around the ambassador. Zorath ended the session with a snap of his claws, announcing judgment without deliberation. Hours later, every Terran system received a broadcast. The image opened with a council strike group intercepting a civilian research convoy. Alien soldiers dragged doctors, technicians, and surveyors out of sterilized corridors. Their wrists were bound with glowing restraints as they were shoved into detention vessels. Terran communication channels flared with warning alarms. Zoratha's voice replaced the screams. "These individuals will be held as security detainees until humanity accepts its responsibilities. Tribute ensures peace. Refusal ensures loss." The broadcast cut abruptly, leaving a frozen frame of terrified human faces across the network. Commander Rhea Vance replayed the footage 3 times and felt her pulse tighten with each loop. She stood inside the command briefing chamber on Helion 3, the fortress world carved from iron and scarred by centuries of preparation for wars no one wanted but everyone expected. The hollow window behind her displayed the stormlit plains outside, but her attention stayed fixed on the captured convoy. Admiral Haldane stood beside the console, his weathered face lined with restrained fury. "We have confirmation," he said. "The prisoners were transferred to Station GC-47, Black Site Facility. Off-record, off-grid, and operated by Council Internal Security." Rhea folded her arms. "What's their condition?" "Unknown," he replied. "But intelligence analysts intercepted signals suggesting accelerated processing. They intend to use the prisoners as political leverage." Rhea inhaled slowly, containing her anger. "Permission to speak freely?" Haldane nodded. "This wasn't a warning," she said. "It was a demonstration. They think we'll kneel to get our people back." The Admiral's stare hardened. "And will we?" "We never have," she answered. Haldane activated a new holodisplay. A rotating schematic of GC-47 appeared, a cylindrical platform anchored above a dead moon, surrounded by layered defense grids and internal choke points. "Ghost Lance will deploy immediately," he said. "You'll infiltrate through the maintenance lattice, Locate the prisoners, and extract as many as possible. Rhea studied the structure. And if extraction is impossible? Haldane hesitated. They cannot be used again. You understand. Rhea nodded once. The unspoken directive weighed heavily, but she accepted it without flinching. Haldane continued. This mission isn't about heroics. It's about denying the Council a weapon. Rhea's jaw tightened. Understood. He softened slightly. I chose you because you don't break under pressure. Not because you're ruthless. Because you're principled. Don't lose that. I intend to keep my team alive, she replied. And bring home whoever we can. Haldane shut down the schematics. Your corvette is prepped. Launch within the hour. The Council believes fear will control us. Show them they miscalculated. Rhea saluted, then exited the chamber with purposeful steps. The hangar buzzed with focused urgency. Engineers moved around the stealth corvette TFS Winter Cipher, its hull coated in adaptive graphite plating that absorbed both light and scans. Ghost Lance stood in formation near the boarding ramp, armored suits matte black and expressionless behind silver visors. Rhea approached, and the squad straightened. Listen carefully, she said. The Council crossed every line today. They believe taking our civilians will force us to comply. They're wrong. Our job is to bring our people back, or ensure they're never used to break us. The squad members exchanged solemn nods. We move quietly, Rhea continued. We adapt quickly. We improvise without hesitation. The Council expects predictable responses. Give them none. Sergeant Ilya Korin asked. Any intel on prisoner locations? Not enough, Rhea replied. Expect scattered confinement cells and high-risk experimentation wings. We'll find them. Corporal Juno Hale added. And if Zorath retaliates while we're inside? Rhea gave a faint, cold smile. Then we leave them something to regret. The squad's grim determination sharpened. A chime signaled the final countdown to departure. Rhea turned toward the Winter Cipher, the engines humming with suppressed power. As she stepped onto the boarding ramp, she paused, glancing over her shoulder at her team. This isn't just a rescue, she said. It's a message. We stand for each other. We do not bow. Not today. Not ever. Ghost Lance followed her aboard. Moments later, the Winter Cipher lifted into the storm-lit sky, disappearing into the upper atmosphere with barely a ripple of displaced air. Its trajectory pointed straight toward GC-47, the place where the Council believed humanity would finally break. Rhea intended to prove the opposite. The galaxy had issued its demand. Humanity would answer on its own terms. The Winter Cipher slipped through the dark between systems, its hull blending seamlessly with the scattered starlight. Commander Rhea Vance remained in the forward bay, watching the projected flight path curve toward the faint glow of GC-47's orbit. The prison station appeared small on the display, yet Rhea felt its weight like a pressure behind her ribs. 10 minutes to perimeter, Pilot Wren called over comms. His voice carried a controlled steadiness that always settled the team before contact. Rhea replied, Hold emissions at minimum. Proceed on dead drift. The ship's engines faded into whisper-quiet pulses. Ghost Lance assembled behind her, checking seals, silencers, and adaptive camouflage strips. Each movement was sharp and soundless, driven by training and a shared sense of purpose. Sergeant Korin approached her. Telemetry shows heavy scanning rotation. They're on alert. They always are, Rhea said. But they've never dealt with us. Korin's visor tilted in affirmation. Then they're about to learn. Approaching GC-47 required precision bordering on artistry. The station hung above a cold, cratered moon, its outer hull shaped like interlocking spirals. Turrets tracked lazy arcs across the void, their sensors probing for anything unusual. Wren's voice came again, lower now. Primary sweep is cycling in 8 seconds. Secondary follows 12 after. We ride the gap. Rhea locked onto the timing. The window was thin. If they moved a fraction too early or too late, the Winter Cipher would be exposed. Execute on my mark, she said. The team braced as the ship drifted closer. The first skin passed over a debris cluster, triggering a harmless burst of light. The second rotated toward them. Mark! Ren nudged the thrusters in a single controlled tap. The ship glided through the blind interval, slipping inside the scanning cone as though following a hidden current. Rhea checked the display. They were undetected. Corin exhaled. That shouldn't have worked. Rhea smiled faintly. Council security trusts its own patterns too much. Within moments, the winter cipher aligned with a maintenance port tucked beneath the station's rotary spine. Docking clamps extended with a soft metallic click. All teams, Rhea ordered. Masks sealed. Blades ready. No unnecessary fire. Ghost Lance answered as one. Confirmed. The hatch opened into absolute darkness. Inside the station, the air felt heavy, treated with industrial sterilizers that left a metallic tang on the tongue. Emergency lights pulsed in narrow strips along the floor, painting the corridor in alternating red shadows. Rhea led the advance. Her visor displayed thermal outlines and motion data, but the deeper chambers remained blurry. GC-47's architecture was designed to disorient. The Council preferred prisoners confused, unable to map their environment. Rhea whispered over comms. Hale, check the grid. Corporal Hale tapped her wrist pad. Internal sensors are looping. They won't pick up our signatures unless they recalibrate manually. Good. Move. They proceeded through a maze of narrow maintenance tunnels. Pipes thrummed with coolant flow, and distant machinery echoed like muffled heartbeat rhythms. At the first junction, Rhea signaled a halt. She knelt beside a locked service gate and pressed a compact decoder against its edge. The device flickered, analyzing the alien encryption. Corin watched the rear. We have 10 minutes before the next full sweep. Enough. Rhea's tone carried quiet certainty. The lock disengaged with a soft click. Beyond it lay the lower detention ring. Rhea noticed the smell first, burned disinfectant trying to mask decay. Her hands clenched by instinct. This was no holding area. This was a site for breaking people. The squad spread out, weapons raised. Cells lined the circular chamber, each one sealed behind transparent alloy screens flickering with containment fields. Most cells were empty. The fourth cell wasn't. A prisoner sat slumped in the corner, wrists bound to a restraint bolt. Bruises covered his arms, and his breathing rasped with shallow, uneven rhythm. Rhea shut off the barrier and stepped inside. The man's eyes flickered open. Recognition sparked faintly. Human armor. You're real? Rhea knelt. We're here to get you out. He shook his head weakly. Not just me, others. Deeper inside. They moved them, experiments, recordings. His voice broke into a cough. Hale crouched beside him, scanning his vitals. Severe dehydration. Multiple fractures. Can he walk? Rhea asked. With support, Hale said. But extraction will be slow. Rhea nodded and stood. Corin, secure him. We move on. As Corin helped the prisoner to his feet, the man tightened his grip on Rhea's forearm, forcing out a whisper. They want executions. Broadcast across systems. Soon. Rhea stilled. How soon? Days. Maybe less. Her jaw hardened. Then speed is our priority. They continued through the ring, finding more signs of neglect, blood smears on containment doors, broken restraints, discarded surgical gloves. The atmosphere pressed in, heavy with unspoken suffering. When they reached the transport hub, Hale stopped abruptly. Commander, motion ahead. Rhea signaled the squad into cover. Alien guards marched through a corridor beyond, their armor sleek and polished. They carried shock pikes glinting under flickering lights. Rhea studied their formation. We take them quietly. What followed was swift and ruthless. Ghost lance struck from shadows, knives silenced throats, arms locked around necks, bodies dragged aside. No alarms triggered. The corridor fell silent again. Hale examined one guard's wrist console. I can access internal schematics. Partial, not full. Find the main detention blocks, Rhea said. Hale brought up layered holograms. Here. The experimentation wings are 3 levels up. Heavier patrols. Higher clearance. That's where the bulk of the prisoners are, Rhea murmured. We go. Before moving on, they passed a viewing chamber. Through the glass, Rhea saw a row of empty chairs lined beneath surgical frames. Instruments hovered above, some mechanical, some biological, all designed with clinical malice. Her stomach twisted, but her voice remained steady. Whatever they planned here ends tonight. Corin stepped beside her. Commander, you should see this. He pointed to a holodeck displaying a schedule. Broadcast cycle, pending. Subject extraction, final phase. Species target, human Terran. Rhea stared at the words until a cold resolve crystallized behind her eyes. They mean to make an example of our people, she said quietly. Hale lowered her gaze. Then we become the example instead. Rhea turned to the squad. The dim red lights reflected off their visors, casting them as silhouettes of controlled fury. We move to the upper levels, she said. Expect resistance. No hesitation. Find survivors. End the Council's plans before they take another breath. Ghost Lance nodded sharply. Determination radiated through the ranks, unified and unwavering. Rhea faced the upward corridor, the hum of hostile machinery vibrating faintly beneath her boots. Let's finish what they started. The squad advanced into the deeper labyrinth of GC-47, shadows merging behind them as the darkness swallowed their entry. The ascent toward the upper detention levels felt like climbing into the heart of something that should never have existed. GC-47's experiment wing was built entirely of seamless metal and angled corridors, each turn bending unnaturally as if designed to unsettle anyone who stepped inside. The hum of containment generators reverberated through the walls in a slow, pulsing rhythm. Rhea moved at point, Ghost Lance tight behind her. Every member carried the weight of what they had already seen, but their steps remained steady. Hale's voice came softly over comms. Thermal signatures ahead. Multiple. Rhea signaled for silence, then led them to a corner overlooking a wide chamber. Below, a row of prisoners, human men and women, hung suspended in energy braces, their eyes half open, bodies slack. Alien technicians in obsidian armor adjusted controls with cold efficiency. A floating console projected neural scans above each captive, mapping fear responses and shifting patterns. Corin's breath tightened. They're using them like test animals. Rhea felt a sharp, controlled fury rise inside her. We move on my command. They descended silently toward the technicians, shadows gliding across reflective floors. When the aliens turned to retrieve equipment, Rhea struck first. Her blade met the nearest technician's throat, cutting off his alarm. The others fell in a blur of synchronized movement, Hale disabling one with a precise strike to the base of the skull, Corin crushing another's windpipe before he could signal the guards. Within seconds, the chamber was still. Rhea deactivated the first energy brace. The captive woman sagged forward, barely conscious. Hale supported her gently. Easy, Hale murmured. You're safe now. The woman swallowed, voice rasping. No, more floors, above, they took the rest, said something about a cycle. What cycle? Rhea asked. Execution, the woman whispered. Recorded. Broadcast. She strained to form the name. Zorith wants the galaxy to see. Rhea's jaw tightened. Not happening. They freed the remaining captives, though most were too weak to stand. Rhea activated her comm. Ren, open the evac bay. We're sending survivors back. Understood, Ren replied. I'll hold position. As Corin escorted the injured toward the lower levels, Rhea and 2 others pressed deeper into the wing. The final detention vault lay at the top of a spiral staircase. 2 guards flanked the entrance, armed with shock rifles crackling with pale blue electricity. Rhea drew her sidearm and fired suppressive darts, non-lethal, silent, devastating. The guards collapsed, spasming briefly before falling still. The door slid open with a hiss. Inside was a single massive chamber filled with transparent cylinders lining the walls. Each cylinder held a human prisoner submerged in nutrient gel, restrained by neural locks. Some stared blankly, others drifted unconscious. At the center stood the station warden. He was taller than the guards, his armor etched with symbols of authority. His hooded eyes tracked Rhea with clinical disinterest. "I was told humanity valued life," he said. "Yet here you are, bringing only death." Rhea stepped forward. "You abducted civilians. You tortured them. You planned to broadcast their execution. Don't lecture me." The warden tilted his head. "You misunderstand. Correction ensures obedience. Demonstration prevents war. Pain is a tool of peace. You call this peace?" Rhea gestured at the unconscious prisoners. "This is terrorism. It is governance," he replied. "Your species rises too quickly. Others fear what they cannot control. You fear what you underestimated," Rhea said. The warden smiled faintly. "Humanity is inconsequential. A brief spark in a long night. It is easier to dim a spark than to extinguish a star." Rhea drew her blade. His expression shifted. Not fear, surprise. "You came all this way just to threaten me?" he asked. "No," she said. "I came to end this place." The warden activated a concealed injector on his wrist. A burst of energy flared, sending Rhea skidding back. Hail fired instantly, fracturing the emitter. The warden staggered, and Rhea surged forward again. They collided in a brutal exchange, Rhea ducking a strike, driving her elbow into his abdomen, sweeping his leg out. He hit the floor, but he fought with mechanical strength, grappling to disable her visor. Rhea slammed her gauntlet across his jaw, knocking the device from his grasp. She pinned him with her knee. He coughed once, dark fluid staining his lips. "You think killing me will change anything?" "No," Rhea said. "But what you've done will." Her blade pierced his throat before he could respond. Silence settled over the chamber. Hale approached the nearest cylinder, eyes darkening. "We need to get them out now." "Start draining fluids," Rhea said. "We'll stabilize whoever can breathe unassisted." As Hale and the others worked, Rhea accessed the central console. Files unfolded, logs, reports, recordings outlining the Council's intent. She read the final directive. "Upon refusal of tribute, execute detainees during live broadcast to assert Council supremacy. Children to be included in next cycle pending verification." Rhea felt the breath leave her lungs. Children. She downloaded every file into her encrypted drive. The galaxy had to see this. While the team freed the last prisoners, her comm buzzed with a coded signal. It carried Terran High Command's mark. She opened the message. "Tribute must be answered. Do what is necessary. Ensure they never attempt this again. No further instructions. No restrictions. Only resolve." Rhea closed the channel slowly. Hale noticed her stillness. "Commander? What now?" Rhea looked at the freed prisoners, then at the cylinder walls filled with the bodies of those they'd been too late to save. "We finished the mission," she said softly. "But extraction isn't enough." Hale waited. "They wanted tribute," Rhea continued. "We'll give them something they can't forget. Evidence of every crime. Every name. Every atrocity. And the ones responsible." Corinne rejoined them, supporting 2 survivors. "The evac route is clear. Ren's ready." Rhea nodded. "Good. Get them out. Then return here." "We're not done." Corinne hesitated. "You're planning something bigger." "Yes," Rhea said. "The Council thought hostages would break us. They thought fear would govern us. They need to learn the price of that mistake." She walked toward the center of the chamber, stepping over the warden's lifeless form. "Plant charges through the core," she ordered. "We bury GC-47 and send the truth back to its architects." Hale's voice carried a quiet understanding. "A tribute of our own." Rhea met her gaze. "Exactly. The explosions would take the station. The evidence they carried would ignite the galaxy. And the Council would learn that humanity did not yield. It retaliated. The Galactic Council chamber thrummed with ceremonial gravity. Representatives from dozens of species filled the spiral balconies, their voices weaving a web of anticipation. News of GC-47's silence had already spread, but High Arbitrator Zora stood poised, confident that humanity would soon be humbled. He stepped onto the central dais as a chorus of illuminated glyphs shimmered overhead. "Today," Zorath announced, "we reaffirm order. Humanity has been reminded of its obligations. Their resistance is fading. Their answer will arrive shortly, and it will reflect new wisdom." He savored the murmurs that followed. Across the hall, hollow screens displayed a drifting cargo pod approaching Vandros Prime's customs perimeter. It carried the Council's crest, official, authenticated, expected. Zorath lifted one hand. "Observe, members of the galaxy. The Terrans have chosen sense over defiance." Technicians initiated the live feed. The container slid into an automated receiving cradle. A series of magnetic locks disengaged with a low thrum. The lid opened. Gasps rippled across the chamber. Some representatives recoiled, folding their limbs. Others leaned forward, stunned into silence. Inside the container lay rows of severed alien heads, every warden, technician, and officer assigned to GC-47. Each head rested upon a metal plate engraved with a corresponding record of their crimes. Cold illumination cast stark shadows across the display. A smaller panel at the front projected the faces and identification files of every human prisoner who had died inside the station. Zorath froze. Then a Terran voice replaced the Council feed. "Commander Rhea Vance." "High Arbitrator Zorath," her voice said, steady and unyielding, reverberating across every interstellar relay. "You demanded tribute. You took our civilians. You tortured them. You planned to execute them for spectacle. These," the camera focused on the container, "belong to you." The chamber erupted into chaos. Rhea continued unshaken. "We have liberated the survivors. We have destroyed your black site facility. And we have recovered every document proving your actions. They are now in the hands of systems across the galaxy. Your lies are over." On screen, the container's interior rearranged automatically, revealing a data module pulsing with encoded information. The evidence logs projected briefly: torture procedures, execution schedules, notes referencing future demands. Some council members shouted in outrage. Others shouted at Zorath. "Explain this!" one delegate screamed. "This violates every treaty!" another bellowed. Zorath slammed his claws onto the podium. "This is an attack on the Council, barbarism, terror." But Rhea's message hadn't finished. "You underestimated us," she said. "You believed we would kneel to save our own. Instead, we showed you what happens when you prey on us." Zora snarled. "Cut the transmission!" Technicians scrambled. Nothing responded. The signal held firm. Rhea's voice deepened, quieter but heavier. "We do not seek war. But if you come for us again, we will not stop at your prisons. We will not stop at your fleets. We will end your ability to harm another human being. That is our only promise." The transmission ended abruptly, leaving the chamber in stunned silence. Then the shouting resumed. Delegates from peaceful species demanded investigation. Militaristic factions whispered that if a Terran unit could infiltrate a council prison and annihilate it without warning, humanity's capabilities might rival their own. Fear spread faster than outrage. Zorath attempted to reclaim order. "They are a threat. They must be punished. Humanity must be crushed now before." "No." The voice came from a representative of the Ashen Collective, one of the Council's oldest members. "Humanity responded to provocation we sanctioned," she said. "Our treaties forbid hostage-taking. Black site facilities violate our own ethical codes. If even half of these documents are real, and they appear authentic, we cannot blame them for the consequences." Another delegate, scaled and towering, added, "If you command war, you will lead it alone. My people will not support you. One by one, other representatives echoed the sentiment. Some refused to engage. Some called for Zoratha's removal. Some demanded reparations to humanity. Zorath felt the floor shift beneath him. You fools, he hissed. You are handing control to a reckless species. They protected their own, the Ashen representative replied. As any sovereign race should. Zoratha's authority fractured before the assembly. The council had no taste for a war it would likely lose. Aboard the Winter Cipher, drifting safely back toward Terran space, Rhea listened to intercepted council chatter. Disarray. Denouncement. Retreat. Corin leaned beside her. They're turning on each other. They should, Rhea said. They created this. Hale approached, carrying a tablet filled with medical statuses. The survivors are stabilizing. Some will recover fully. Others, her voice faltered. They'll need time. Rhea accepted the report quietly. They're alive because of all of you. Hale managed a tired smile. Because of you, Commander. Rhea didn't respond immediately. She watched the streak of distant stars pass across the viewport, thinking of those they hadn't saved, of faces lost inside GC-47's walls. Their memory sat with her like an anchor and a promise. Wren's voice broke the silence. Message from High Command. They want a formal debrief when we land. Understood, Rhea said. Wren hesitated. They also said, the galaxy is watching us differently now. Rhea looked out again. Good. Let them. Helion 3 welcomed them with muted ceremony. The freed prisoners, wrapped in thermal blankets, were guided to waiting medical teams. Families waited behind secure lines, hopeful and terrified. Rhea stepped off the ramp and found Admiral Haldane waiting. His stern demeanor softened when he saw her. You kept your promise, he said. Not all of them, Rhea replied quietly. No commander ever does, he said. But you changed the stakes. The Council won't forget this lesson. Rhea glanced at the sky, the constellation sharp and cold above the fortress world. They should remember the truth, not the fear. And what truth is that? Haldane asked. That we protect our own, she said. That no one takes our people and walks away unscathed. And that we don't need to conquer to be strong. Haldane nodded, respect deep in his expression. The galaxy just witnessed who we are. And they're recalculating everything. Rhea took a breath, letting the night air settle around her. The mission's weight remained, but it no longer felt like a burden, more like a direction. She looked toward the rescued survivors being carried towards safety. We didn't send that tribute to horrify them, she said softly. We sent it to end this cycle before it grew worse. Haldane placed a hand on her shoulder. And you succeeded. Rhea looked back at the stars. Humans are not tribute, she said. Not prey. Not bargaining pieces. If they come for us again, they'll learn exactly what we're capable of. The stars glinted like distant witnesses as the frontier returned to calm. But the galaxy would never see humanity the same way again.